first of all, as soon as I ran in here, I had just come from a Facebook Live Anonymous meeting, because we go live all the time. And actually, I was speaking at another panel, and it ran long because I talked too much. And then when I came in and I saw you, and I was like, damn, we needed to go live with her. But then I heard Costa Mesa, so you're going to be hearing from me. And we would love you to do lunch break lives and cover your story. And you're such an incredible example. So hopefully we can profile you in many different ways. And you're going to be like, oh no, not her again. So my journey, first of all, I'm just honored to be on a panel with two of my heroes that I love. I mean, I love you guys. You guys, I want to just clone you. I know we don't believe in cloning, but I want to clone you. But my story is, I have a social media news outlet for animal rights and the vegan lifestyle. And my basic mantra is no event that is involving animal rights, veganism, and the compassion movement should go undocumented. We need to document every single one of these events, every single speech. And the reason I came up with that is that I would go to protests, and especially in New York when it's cold, and we got Mikey over here he's wearing shorts right now, but he would protest like crazy in the cold. And I'd see people, in their coats running by. It's freezing, and New Yorkers can be a little, rough around the edges, moving forward. And I see these poor protesters protesting, and it's like, wait a second, why is this happening? Nobody's seeing it, and nobody's documenting it. So in that moment in time, I realized this is a niche that I can really get into. Every single animal rights speech, every single protest, every single veg fest needs to be documented and distributed. And if I leave you with one thing, get those phones out. All right, A+, B-. Okay, so you go to a rock concert, you see everybody holding up their phones. We're going live right now for Jane Unchained. That's the social media outlet I do, okay? And by the way, please share our videos. Go to facebook.com/Jane Velez-Mitchell and just hit share, because each and every one of you knows probably 200, 300, maybe you're very popular, 5,000 people, and a lot of them aren't vegan, and one image, one speech by Gene Bauer or by you or by Nathan can open up, they can have a moment of clarity. And sometimes it's just an instantaneous moment of clarity. So that's what I decided to do. And we started it in November of 2014, and we have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos that have been collectively seen by millions of people. And everywhere I go, people come up to me and say, I've gone vegan because I saw one of your videos. It happens in Whole Foods. We do here's something else that happened. My mom, who lived to 99 and a half, and we're going to give her 100, right? Let's give her 100. My mom, by the way, and this is not a very linear story, because I'm a little overexcited after running from one panel to the next, so I'm kind of jumping around. My mom was born in Puerto Rico in 1916, before women had the right to vote. When she was about 6, she had a pet pig. She came home one day, and the pet pig had been slaughtered for food. And she became distraught. And from that moment on, she shunned meat. She came to New York by herself when she was 12 on a boat, formed a very successful dance troupe called the Nita Velez Dancers, met my father, who was an advertising executive and a big meat eater, Irish, and he converted to pescatarianism too. We thought we were vegetarian growing up, but we were pescatarian. But anyway, I got it from my mom. And if you're listening, Mom, I love you. And the other thing that happened to me that sent me on this journey was that my parents, as aware as they were, just, they did something that was terrible. I went to school one day when I was 9. I came home and they had given my dog away, Mr. Monday. And even to this day, I get upset thinking about it. And it was it's one of the worst moments in my life. That was my brother. I was an only child living in Midtown Manhattan. They didn't know from play dates. That was my brother. And they gave him away, and I still don't know whatever happened to him. And you know, even as a child, I knew they were lying. Oh, he went to a farm. Oh, we were on a train, and it was just like one BS story after the next. And so from that moment on, I said, I'm going to fight for animals. And I was 9 years old. So those two things, I think, you know, came together. And then as I grew older, I became a journalist. And I'll never forget, I worked all over the country, Fort Myers, Florida, Minneapolis, Philadelphia, New York, LA. I was in Philadelphia, and somebody gave me a tape of the infamous Gennarelli head injury experiments being done at the University of Pennsylvania. I heard them mentioned just yesterday by somebody. They're horrific. They are bashing these monkeys' heads in with these giant forces of I don't know how many G's, and they're listening to rock music, and they're joking, and they're laughing, and they're holding up the little monkey's hand and dropping it. And when I saw that, that's when I really became like, and I mean, I was like, this is beyond comprehension evil. This is beyond comprehension evil. I have a moral obligation to do something to stop it. And I had the same experience when I saw pig gestation crates for the first time. I said, nobody could invent a system this sadistic. You would have to be a sociopath. And unfortunately, we have institutionalized sociopathic cruelty in our factory farm system. We got to stop it. It's wrong. It's morally wrong. So I had a few issues at the time. I was an alcoholic, still am, but now I'm in recovery, 22 years sober. Thank you. I was also gay and dating men, not really. As long as I had that Chardonnay, waiter, another Chardonnay please, I didn't have to deal with it. And although I did marry a guy and we had a great wedding, we should have called it off right after the wedding. I had a nautical wedding. I was like, why am I doing this? And it's like, dress code. And I wrote, nautical. And it was just a crazy wedding. But in any case, when I got sober about 22 years ago, I would say, you know, an hour and a half later, I realized I was gay, and I told my therapist, and he's like, that's good, Jane. Of course, he had probably known that the entire 7 years I was seeing him. But, and it was right after that my activism kicked in. Because when you're drinking or you're drugging, you can't be effective for animals. So if anybody has that problem here, get sober. You're not going to be as effective as you can be until you're sober. And that's when I took all the energy I used to put into club hopping and I put it into animal activism. And so you can imagine I did a lot of club hopping, considering how much energy I have. Then I went vegan when how many of you know Howard Lyman, the Mad Cowboy? Yeah. So Howard Lyman was the one who went on Oprah. He's a fourth-generation cattle rancher who got ill, and he made a pact with God. Get me out of this surgery, and I'm going to reveal the horrors of the meat industry. He gets out, he writes a book, Mad Cowboy, he goes on Oprah, he reveals the horrors of the cattle industry, and she said, that just stopped me cold from eating another burger. When she said that, the cattle futures dropped, Oprah got sued. Anyway, he became a cause celeb. He was doing a book tour. I was working at Channel 9 in Los Angeles, and I interviewed him, and afterwards he and his publicist, the very intense Mar Nealon, who I love, came up to me and they said, we hear you're a vegetarian. And I said, yeah. And they said, well, do you eat dairy? And I said, yeah, because I had just heard about the cows and the calves. And they looked at me and they both pointed their finger right at me and they said, liquid meat. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point at you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. That was totally accidental. So anyway, at that moment, I went vegan. I was shamed into going vegan. Woo! Maybe I should write my memoir. I was shamed into going vegan. And so, you know, it takes about a month for your taste buds to change. About a month later, somebody put Parmesan cheese in my salad, and I tasted it, and I spat it out. And I used to love Parmesan cheese. So just like Rehab is at least 28 days, And maybe we should create a vegan rehab, like a rehab institution where, you know, people can go like to a great place in Malibu and just get vegan food. Oh wait, there's already a place. You could open it. Costa Mesa. But anyway, so I was in journalism for 38 years. I think I had like 6 sick days. Sometimes they were like, please don't come in tomorrow. But in any case, once my last show wrapped up, which was at a CNN Headline News, and I had 6 years. I did an animal story almost every week. I had these gentlemen on.
Yes, thank you, Jane.
And I said, let me take my social media news following that they created for me. I had never even tweeted one. They wouldn't let me, of course, I didn't want to tweet because I knew I'd get in trouble if I tweeted in 1 second. But anyway, I took the social media news following. They were very gracious to allow me to do that. And I just started growing it. Now on Facebook.com/Jane Velez-Mitchell, hope you visit it, we have about 380,000 followers, and it's growing by 10,000 a week. And it's not the 2 million that these guys have, but it's growing, and we get people from all over the world. So we're going to keep growing it, and we're going to make it bigger and bigger. And let me tell you one last thing. There are too many people on this planet to convince them one-on-one. So just pretend that every vegan event is a rock concert. Whip out that cell phone like this guy. A+, you're still going on the phone. Wait, we've got 1, 2, 3. And just hit it, because we need to spread the message. We need to share our wonderful, joyous lifestyle with the world. They're missing out. Yay!